Welcome back to 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny. What if a small brown penny sitting quietly in an old coin jar could be worth far more than its 1 cent face value? That is exactly why collectors continue searching through old change, inherited collections, coin rolls, and forgotten boxes for Lincoln Wheat pennies. Today on Hardest Penny, we are taking a close look at the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that carries an important piece of American history and can become much more interesting when its condition, mint mark, rarity, and errors are carefully examined. If you have a 1945 wheat penny, do not throw it into a pile of ordinary coins before checking it closely. The date, mint mark, condition, color, and possible varieties can all influence its collectible value. The 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny was produced during the final year of World War II, making it especially interesting to collectors who enjoy coins connected to important historical periods. The United States was still deeply involved in the war, and millions of Americans were serving overseas while factories across the country were producing materials needed for the war effort. Every coin circulating at that time was part of everyday American life. The Lincoln cent continued to feature the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, while the reverse displayed the two wheat ears that gave the series its popular name, the wheat penny. One of the first things you should check on a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny is the mint mark. Depending on where it was produced, the coin may have no mint mark, an D, or an S. A 1945 coin without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. A 1945 D was made at the Denver Mint, while a 1945 S came from the San Francisco Mint. These three versions are all collectible, but their values can differ depending on condition, demand, and overall rarity. The Philadelphia issue is particularly common compared with many earlier wheat pennies, but that does not mean every 1945 Philadelphia cent is worthless. In coin collecting, condition can completely change the story. A heavily circulated example with dark surfaces, scratches, and worn lettering may have relatively modest value, while a sharply preserved example with strong original details can attract much more attention from collectors. This is why you should never judge a coin simply by its age. Another important factor is the coin's color. Copper-based Lincoln cents can develop different appearances over time. Collectors often describe them as red, red-brown, or brown. A coin retaining a significant amount of its original reddish color can sometimes command a substantial premium over a similar coin that has turned completely brown. However, color should not be considered alone. A coin with attractive color but major damage may still be less desirable than a well-preserved example with strong details. The 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny is also interesting because it belongs to the final period of the classic wheat cent series. The wheat reverse continued until 1958, when the Lincoln Memorial design replaced it in 1959. That means a 1945 cent is not just an old penny. It is part of one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. Now let's talk about condition, because this is where many people make mistakes. You might find a 1945 penny that looks extremely old and assume that its age makes it valuable. But collectors do not simply pay for age. They consider preservation, rarity, demand, and other characteristics. A coin that spent decades circulating through stores, pockets, cash registers, and banks may have extensive wear. Another coin from the same year may have been stored carefully and show much stronger details. Those two coins can have very different market values. When inspecting a 1945 wheat penny, use good lighting and, if possible, a magnifying glass. Look for unusual doubling, misplaced letters, unusual shapes, cracks, chips, or other characteristics that appear different from a normal example. However, be careful when identifying errors. Damage caused by circulation, cleaning, corrosion, or mechanical contact can sometimes look like a mint error to an inexperienced collector. A genuine mint error should be evaluated carefully before assuming that it is rare or valuable. You should also pay attention to the surfaces. Scratches across Lincoln's face, deep marks in the fields, corrosion, stains, or evidence of harsh cleaning can reduce collector appeal. One of the biggest mistakes a new collector can make is cleaning an old coin in an attempt to make it look newer. Do not polish or scrub your 1945 wheat penny. Cleaning can permanently damage the original surface and may lower its collectible value. The mint mark is located beneath the date on the obverse side. On a 1945 D, you should see a small d, while the San Francisco issue carries an S. Philadelphia examples traditionally have no mint mark. Check this area carefully because dirt and work can sometimes make a small mint mark difficult to see. Another reason collectors enjoy 1945 Lincoln wheat pennies is the history attached to them. Imagine this coin entering circulation while World War II was still being fought. People could have used it to purchase small items, receive change at a grocery store, or carry in a pocket while reading newspapers about events happening around the world. Coins are fascinating because they physically survive long after the people who originally handled them are gone. But can 1945 Lincoln wheat penny make you rich? In most ordinary circulated conditions, you should not expect an astronomical fortune. Viral videos and online posts sometimes make it sound as if every old penny is worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. That is not how the coin market works. The extraordinary values generally belong to coins with exceptional grades, unusual errors, varieties, or other highly desirable characteristics. An ordinary circulated 1945 cent is much more common. That does not make your coin unimportant. Collecting is about much more than chasing a jackpot. A 1945 wheat penny can be a fascinating historical object, a great addition to a date and mint collection, or the beginning of an interest in numismatics. If your coin has strong details and attractive surfaces, it may deserve closer examination and possibly professional grading. If you're thinking about getting your 1945 penny graded, consider the coin's condition first. Professional grading can be useful for coins that appear to be in unusually high condition, have valuable varieties, or may have significant collector interest. For a heavily circulated example worth only a small premium, professional grading may not make financial sense. The decision should depend on the coin's potential value and your collecting goals. And remember, the internet can be both helpful and misleading. When searching for prices, compare recently sold examples rather than simply looking at the highest asking price you see online. Someone can list a common 1945 wheat penny for an enormous amount, but that does not mean buyers are actually paying that amount. Real transaction prices provide a much better idea of what collectors are willing to pay. So, if you have a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny in your collection, take a second look before putting it away. Confirm the date. Check whether it has a D, S, or no mint mark. Inspect the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny may be a small coin, but it represents a remarkable period in American history. It survived from the final year of World War II, passed through generations of American commerce, and continues to attract collectors decades later. Whether your example is a common circulated penny or a beautifully preserved specimen, it is worth learning about before deciding what it is worth. And that is the real excitement of coin hunting. You never know what story an old coin might tell until you stop, look closely, and investigate. So check your jars, old collections, coin boxes, inherited pennies, and pocket change. That ordinary-looking 1945 Lincoln wheat penny could be more interesting than you first imagined. If you enjoyed this coin investigation, make sure to stay connected with Hardest Penny for more videos about rare pennies, valuable wheat cents, mint errors, key dates, and coins that collectors continue to search for. Remember, always check the date, mint mark, condition, and details before making any assumptions about value. Your next interesting coin could be hiding in plain sight.